Welcome back, everybody. At the top of the show, we told you of this breaking, very important story. The Capitol Police Chief has concluded that Congressman Barry Loudermilk didn't do anything wrong. He didn't lead a group of protesters on a reconnaissance mission like the January 6th committee accused him. We would not know for that story if it weren't for our next guest, Congressman Rodney Davis from the great state of Illinois. He had the tenacity to press this issue to get the truth for the American people. Congressman, it's good to have you back on the show.
Always great to be back, John and Amanda. Thanks for having me on.
You've just gotten this letter just a few short hours ago. Your reaction when you see the Capitol Police Chief call bunk on the January 6th committee?
Oh, you know what? This is what we knew all along. We knew that there was no Republican who led anybody who breached the Capitol on a reconnaissance tour leading up to January 6th. I had my team go through the tapes back in January to verify that because one of my colleagues, Mikey Sherrill, she started this rumor that somehow Republicans were taking people on reconnaissance tours. She said she used her military training to recognize this. Well, you know what? There is no evidence that that's ever happened. And this, what you just showed, was proof that no Republican, even the one they accused just a few weeks ago, Barry Loudermilk, who serves on my committee, he did not take anyone on a reconnaissance tour. And frankly, the Democrats need to be ashamed of themselves.
Well, and Congressman, I feel like I'm starting to see a pattern here with Loudermilk. We saw it with Congressman Cawthorn. I remember when I was little, I had a bookmark that said, shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. And this seems to me like they are shooting to have people, criminally charged or something like that. But even if they miss, they're hoping that it will have such an effect that they'll at least get voted out of office.
You're absolutely correct. That's why they've perpetuated. Mikey Sherrill, my colleague from New Jersey, has perpetuated, along with many of my Democratic colleagues, this myth that the 24-hour news cycle and the mainstream media believes that Republicans actually took people through the Capitol complex leading up to January 6th. The evidence doesn't show that. But if you would have asked any of them up until today, when we see the facts put out by the Capitol Police, they would have said that Republicans did that. That's why being tenacious like Barry has been, our Committee on House Administration has been, is so important because we're using the facts and we're holding those who lie accountable.
Yeah. I want to ask you about accountability. When lawmakers like this do this, and some people said to me today, this is a Joe McCarthy trick, right? Write a letter suggesting there's some wrongdoing, don't ever prove it. You can just get away smearing the person that way. What should be the consequence for people like Benny Thompson and Liz Cheney and others who have made these false allegations, smeared a member of Congress? Now the truth comes out. Should there be any penalty for them?
Well, when you look at the select committee, unfortunately, Nancy Pelosi always wanted a select committee. She didn't want a true bipartisan commission. She didn't want our committee in a bipartisan way going through the evidence because they wanted a one-sided story. And anyone who deliberately lies, who deliberately misleads, like Mikey Sherrill, who lied numerous times about any Republican, including Barry Loudermilk, taking people on reconnaissance tours, should at least, at a minimum, be held accountable by the House Ethics Committee. That is behavior unbecoming of a member of Congress, and you ought to be held accountable for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Congressman, how do we combat the messaging? Because as conservatives, I think by nature we are live and let live people. So when the other side does crazy things, we're like, oh, whatever, they're just being crazy. But we're getting to the point in the American program where we have to be actively fighting back against these false narratives. When they say January 6th, we say May 29th. We counter with everything. How can you and your colleagues go up against that narrative, contradict that narrative, and get the truth out?
Well, we got to get the facts. The facts are on our side. And this letter that you guys have shown, this letter proves what we were saying is correct. We did the work early on to see if anybody did take anyone into the Capitol. We had hours upon hours of people watching video. We knew the facts were on our side. And it's easy to give up. It's easy to give up in the face of constant attacks. But we are not going to give up. That's why this little House Administration Committee that I'm going to lead in the next Congress has been the little committee that could. We are tenacious. Our team is great. And we are going to hold the Democrats accountable. And remember, I was on your show last week. I sent a preservation order to Benny Thompson, somebody who voted against certifying George W. Bush's election in 2004. We have sent preservation requests to his committee because of financial irregularities. They're violations of the House rules. We're going to fight like heck to make sure people follow the rules and follow the law.
You know, Congressman, I've been doing a lot of work on January 6th the last few weeks, and we only got about a minute left, but I have to say this. I've watched your work from 2018, 17, 19. You have been constantly shining a light on the weakness of security at the Capitol. You're going to fix it next year, aren't you?
You darn right we are. We're going to hold them accountable. This letter was a first foray into making sure the people that run those agencies now know we're serious. We demanded that they go through this video. They clear Barry Loudermilk's name because we knew there was no evidence. And they finally didn't acquiesce to Speaker Pelosi. And they sent this letter because the facts and the truth is on our side, not theirs.
Well, Congressman Loudermilk, I know, owns you a debt of gratitude, but so does our country for fighting so hard to get us the truth, sir.
Yeah.
Great honor. Thank you for sharing this information with us today.
Well, thank you both, John and Amanda. Great to see you again.
You as well, sir. Thank you.
Great to see you.